Welcome back to IGN Live at E3. I'm IGN's Joe Screbbles, and ever since I was a young lad running through the grassy fields of England, I've only wanted to be one thing: a professional football player. And that's soccer for you unsophisticated simpletons. Here to help my dreams come true are IGN's Janet Garcia, along with EA's Sam Rivera and Matt Pryor.
Hey.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you.
And we are going to talk FIFA 20.
Yeah.
So let's start with the big one. You've introduced Volta.
Yeah, Volta. So yeah, this is the biggest year ever for FIFA. It's the biggest FIFA we've ever produced, and that is in part due to Volta. So it should be noted that this actually lives within the real FIFA product.
Mm-hmm.
It's so big that a few of the press thought we were talking about a separate product, but
Yeah.
this is actually within FIFA, the product itself. And this is really bringing back the roots of soccer. So Volta means to return in Portuguese. And so we've done a really great job over the years of focusing on the professional 11v11 game, but obviously there's a whole side of football in addition to that, and a side of football that most of our players and all professional footballers started out as.
Mm-hmm.
No one kicked their first ball on a professional 11v11 pitch. So this is really about bringing football back to its roots and bringing that side of the game to the FIFA community.
Oh, cool. And like, I know last year's Hunter's Journey,
Yep.
we had a little moment of street football
Yes.
in there. Did you was that the seed that started, or were you teasing? Was that already in the works?
No, we were already thinking it, because one of the great things about this mode is we come to these events annually, and one of the biggest features that our core community requests is bringing the street style back to it. So it's one of those rare features that appeals to both to core users and also to casuals, because one of the great things about the small-sided version is it's much more accessible. You don't need to follow a team. You don't need to understand the 11 offside rule.
Mm-hmm.
Just by its very nature, it's much more accessible. So we always saw it as a means to kind of attract both or speak to the core audience and also new users. So it is something we teased in the journey, and the reaction to that was very positive,
Yeah.
but it wasn't a kind of an intentional tease. So.
Okay. And talk us through like the actual playing of a match in Volta.
Yep.
Like, so it's 3-on-3. It's in like sort of unusual locations across
Yep.
the world. Is it more skills-based? Are you using that kind of more flair play that you see in street football?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually a lot more than 3-on-3. So there's various formats. So there's 3-on-3, there's 3-on-3 with keepers, 4-on-4, 4-on-4 with keepers, 5-on-5 and futsal. So there isn't a definitive Volta game. There's a huge difference in variation, which was one of the very cool things. There is no kind of standard Volta game. And yes, fundamentally it's based in the core of football. So we went out and talked to a lot of the real street players, and it was interesting and rewarding to hear that whilst obviously there is a level of flair and skill to the street side, fundamentally it's still about playing football. It's still about winning. It's still about scoring goals. So if you have a player who goes on the pitch and just does all the fancy skills, he has no respect within the street community. So in a similar way, we base the core gameplay around our 11v11 engine, and that's because we're very proud of our 11v11 engine, but also because, as I say, at its fundamental core, it's the same game. However, as you rightly point out, there is a level of skill and flair to the street game that we needed to capture to bring it authentically. So we've introduced a number of features to kind of bubble that up and make it more accessible. So things like skill moves. So you can still perform a skill move in Volta as you would in the regular game, but they're quite complex intentionally in kind of the realm of the hardcore players. But in Volta, we've bubbled those up, and now if you hold the two triggers and move in any direction, you will trigger a skill move.
Okay.
Similarly, flicks are now much more easily accessible. The wall is another big part of the game, so you can pass the ball off the wall. So at its core, it is fundamentally football, but yes, we've added a layer of skill and flair to bring the street elements up there.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're actually seeing some of that 11-on-11 gameplay right now. So how do you see Volta translating to that core 11-on-11? How do they relate to each other? How do they enhance each other?
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, I think this is a great gateway into football to people who've never actually played it. As I say, the fundamentals, the pass, shoot, tackle, all of that is carried over from 11v11 to 11v11, and that's one of the kind of things we wanted to bring. You recall we'd made Street a few years ago. That was a very different experience to the extent that if you got proficient at Street and then went to the regular game, it was almost you had to kind of relearn how to play. And this was one of the fundamental ideas with this, that you didn't have that learning curve. When you play Volta and you transition to 11v11, if you want to transition to 11v11, you don't have to. You have a learning curve. So I see it as a great onboarding for new users. And then for core, it's just a completely different side of football that you've not had in FIFA. So I think it's a real fresh coat of paint. It gives a new experience. It's all around creativity and self-expression. There's a whole vanity suite in there. You can create yourself. So in 11v11, we're somewhat limited in the ability to offer our users the avenue to create, because obviously it's pro game, you're in the professional kits. This offers a whole new realm of creativity in that you create your play, you kit them out in Vanity, you can self-express on the pitch. So it's a whole new spectrum of football that's not represented in the 11v11.
And let's talk about that main 11v11 game. Like, we don't have that long, unfortunately, but like, can you talk us through the broad strokes of what's changing, what we've got this year?
For sure, we have important features in the three main components of the football match, which is on the ball, off the ball, and the ball itself. So off the ball, we have a re-architected game flow. This new game flow is designed to give more time and space to the dribbler, so we can create more one-on-ones. We're really encouraging one-on-ones in FIFA 20 because that's the time where user skill, where your skill matters. That's where you can beat the defender. And you will see there's definitely a lot of more space that you can take advantage. You can read the game better, and there's going to be new ways for you to create your own scoring chances. So I think that's very big. That's the philosophy that we wanted, more one-on-ones. And then when you have the ball, there's new tools. There's a strafe dribbling mechanic, which is good to lure your opponent in, and then you're going to be very agile to try to go sideways, for example, and then beat that defender with skill move or just some speed. Then there is new penalty kicks and free kicks in the game, so brand new systems that have very easy mechanics to learn, to start taking it. But then obviously, if you need more depth, you want to master those mechanics, then you need to practice more. There is also a new control tackling system, which gives you, when you tackle, basically your player knows better what animation to play and how to get to the ball to ensure that you win possession back, that it doesn't bounce back to the attacker. And then there's also composed finishing. So there's a lot of improvements that we're doing to the fundamentals of shooting to make sure that if you have, let's say, an easy shot, a one-on-one with the keeper, then you have more chances to score. If you are far away, volley from outside of the box, then it's harder. So tuning all those fundamentals of shooting just gives you a more satisfying experience that makes sense. This shot should be scored, and it does. And then we have brand new ball physics system in FIFA 20, which is also a very important feature for us because the way the ball bounces is more authentic if it hits a player, or just when it bounces on the ground, there's more spin. You see more pronounced shooting trajectories. You do a finesse shot, you see more curve that goes around the keeper. Or if you do a lace shot, you may see a dipping trajectory, a rising trajectory. There's just more variety in general in FIFA, so the entire experience feels fresh. So when you put together how the player's position to create more time and space one-on-ones, and you put together the ball and everything, just the game looks more authentic. You compare it to real life and looks more like real football.
That's great. Well, unfortunately, that's all we've got time for. That was a very good, comprehensive discussion, by the way.
Right.
That was FIFA 20. I cannot wait to play it later this year. Be sure to keep an eye on IGN for more.